The sun dipped low behind the tall glass building where the CEO's private parking lot gleamed with exotic cars lined up like trophies. Among them sat the bright orange McLaren, hood popped open, a symbol of money and speed and power. A group of suited men laughed and talked near it, their voices bouncing off the concrete walls. Standing at the edge of the lot was a girl in oil-stained coveralls, her hands tucked into her pockets, her hair tied back messily. She wasn't supposed to be here, not this close to the CEO's world, but a senior mechanic had called her over because she was good, better than most, actually. But none of them really knew that yet. Inside the circle of expensive shoes and mocking eyes, the CEO leaned against the McLaren like it was a throne. He was young, sharp-suited, hair licked back like a movie star's, eyes glinting with that careless, cruel amusement rich men wore so easily. He flicked the keys in his hand, tossing them up, catching them, letting them fall on the hood with a soft clink. His friends chuckled behind him, watching the girl who shifted her weight nervously, but didn't drop her gaze. That alone annoyed him a little. She should have looked away. Instead, she met his eyes like she was waiting for something real. "So, you're the miracle worker, huh?" the CEO said, pushing himself off the car, stepping closer. The girl didn't answer right away. She just nodded once, polite, quiet. She looked young, maybe early 20s, maybe less. Her name tag said, Lena. He smirked. Lena. Nobody important ever had a name like that. He liked the sound of it. Small, ordinary, forgettable. He gestured dramatically at the open engine bay. "It's dead," he said like it was a joke, because to him it was. "Engine trouble won't start. I already had 3 of my guys look at it. They said it needs to be towed. Cost me what, $2,000 just for them to stand here and shrug." He laughed. His friends laughed with him. Some sipping fancy coffee in branded cups. Lena didn't laugh. She just stepped closer to the car, peered in like the laughter was just wind passing by her ears. The CEO looked her up and down the way someone might look at a stray animal that wandered into a mansion. "Tell you what," he said suddenly, turning to his audience for effect. "How about this? If you can fix it right now, I'll double your pay for the month." "No, make it triple. How's that? Sound fair?" The laughter turned into low whistles and teasing oohs. Lena glanced at the engine again. She could smell burnt oil, a hint of something off with the wiring, maybe. She knew McLarens only from the shop manuals and late-night videos she watched when the garage was empty, and she stayed behind to learn. She'd never touched one this expensive in her life. But she also knew she was good, really good. Her father used to say she had a gift for listening to engines, like she could hear what they needed before they told anyone else. She looked at the CEO and nodded again, small, respectful. "Okay," she said softly. It wasn't a challenge or a threat. Just okay. She walked around the car, ignoring the way one of the suited men, wiping his eyes like he was about to cry from laughing. She didn't care. She was here for the machine, not them. The CEO crossed his arms, a grin stretching his lips. "You guys recording this? Get your phones out. This is going on my story tonight. Employee tries to fix boss's McLaren. Fails spectacularly." He winked at Lena as if that was funny enough to share. One of his friends already had a phone out, filming her every move. Lena popped open her small toolkit. Old tools, some inherited from her dad, some bought secondhand when she could afford it. She laid them out neatly on the concrete, her fingers steady, her breathing calm. For a second, the parking lot faded. The CEO's smug face, the laughter, the phones all blurred at the edges. All she saw was the tangled heart of the car in front of her. The problem hidden somewhere under polished panels and expensive design. She leaned in, listening first. She checked connections, wires, hoses. A flicker of worry crossed her face when she saw how badly someone else had fiddled with it. Expensive guesswork that only made things worse. She bit the inside of her cheek. Thinking fast, she traced the wires back to the ignition, found a tiny fuse out of place, a connector loose where it shouldn't be. She asked one of the men to pass her the key. He laughed but tossed it to her anyway like throwing a bone to a dog. She caught it midair without flinching. Minutes ticked by, sweat beaded on her forehead under the setting sun. She wiped it with the back of her sleeve, her hands smudged with grease now, her eyes locked on the guts of the car like she could will them to speak. Behind her, the CEO checked his watch dramatically, muttered something about dinner reservations. The filming man zoomed in closer. Then she did something they didn't expect. She pulled out a tiny piece of wire from her pocket, twisted it expertly, reconnected 2 points like she'd done it 1,000 times before on junkyard cars that nobody cared about but her. She closed the hood halfway, turned to the driver's door, slid inside like she belonged there. The leather seat was too smooth, too expensive, smelling like money and polish. She didn't care. She put the key in, took a breath. The CEO leaned down, tapping the roof like he was knocking on a coffin. "You ready, genius?" he teased. His friends laughed again. Someone bet $20 it wouldn't even click. Lena didn't answer. She just turned the key. A low rumble answered her. Then a sharp growl, the unmistakable roar of the McLaren's V8 catching its breath again after being silenced too long. The parking lot echoed with the sound. Roar. Alive, powerful. The CEO's smile froze on his lips. The man with the phone cursed. Under his breath, fumbling to get a better shot. For a heartbeat, nobody said anything. The girl sat behind the wheel, a ghost of a smile tugging at her lips. She turned it off, stepped out, handed the keys back without a word. The CEO stared at her, keys cold in his hand now. He opened his mouth, but the words didn't come out right away. His friends looked at each other, then at Lena, then back at the car that now purred like nothing had ever been wrong. The joke wasn't so funny anymore. And Lena just stood there wiping her hands on her coveralls, eyes calm, waiting for him to remember his own promise. For a few seconds, the parking lot stayed silent, except for the ticking of the McLaren's cooling engine. The CEO looked at Lena, like he couldn't decide if he should laugh or get angry. His friends exchanged awkward glances, shifting on their expensive shoes, shoving their phones back into their pockets now that the punchline of the video had turned into something else entirely. Lena didn't move, didn't fidget under the weight of their surprise. She just stood there wiping a smear of oil from her cheek with the back of her hand. The CEO cleared his throat like he was snapping himself out of a daze. He forced a crooked smile back onto his face and flicked the car key up, catching it once, twice, trying to look unfazed. "Well," he said, voice dripping fake amusement. "Looks like you got lucky." One of his friends chuckled half-heartedly, but no one else dared to join in. The joke had cracked and fallen flat. Lena didn't say anything. She didn't need to. The hum of the engine had spoken for her. She reached down to pack up her tools, fitting each piece back into its slot like it was something sacred. She didn't rush. She didn't look at him. That bothered him more than he'd admit. "You know I was kidding about that raise, right?" the CEO said suddenly, a sharper edge slipping into his voice. He glanced around at his friends as if hoping one of them would back him up, laugh with him, turn the moment back into something he could control. But no one spoke. A few pretended to check their phones. One looked away, embarrassed for him more than for her. Lena paused, her hands resting on the rusty metal lid of her toolbox. She looked up at him then, steady, unblinking. There was no anger in her eyes, no pleading, just that quiet patience that made him feel like she could see right through the layers of tailored fabric and empty words he wrapped himself in every day. "I did what you asked," she said, voice so soft it made him lean forward to catch it. "You promised." He clicked his tongue, his smile brittle. "Relax, sweetheart, it was just a joke. Besides, you're on hourly pay, right? Be grateful you even get to touch something like this. People wait their whole lives." A voice cut him off. A deeper voice, older, calm, but carrying an authority that made every suited man straighten up without meaning to. "Is there a problem here?" Heads turned. The older man was dressed simply, slacks and a dark blazer. No flashy watch, no arrogant grin. He stepped out from the building's glass door that led to the executive floor. Lena recognized him immediately. Mr. Harrow, the company's actual owner, the man who let the young CEO run day-to-day things while he stayed in the shadows, picking his battles, watching from corners most people forgot. The CEO's confident posture slipped for a moment, but he quickly forced a smile. "Mr. Harrow, no problem at all. Just having a bit of fun with the team, you know." He gestured at Lena like she was part of the furniture. Mr. Harrow's eyes flicked to the McLaren, then to Lena's oil-smeared face, then back to the CEO's smug grin. He didn't smile. "Fun?" he asked mildly. "I heard the engine start from upstairs. That car has been dead for weeks. You told me you'd tow it next week." The CEO's jaw worked, his smile straining. "Yes, well, this girl, she gave it a try. Lucky break, I suppose. Mr. Harrow stepped closer to Lena, ignoring the CEO now. What's your name? Lena, sir. Good work, Lena. He looked at the CEO again, who now looked like he wanted to sink into the polished concrete. She fixed something your certified team couldn't. I assume you're paying her accordingly. The CEO opened his mouth, closed it, then forced a laugh that didn't fool anyone. Of course, sir. I said I'd triple her pay this month if she did it. Just a bit of motivation, you know. Mr. Harrow's eyebrow twitched. The only sign he'd caught the lie. He turned to Lena again. Go see HR tomorrow morning. Tell them I said to adjust your pay. Triple it for 3 months, not 1. And you'll be moved off general maintenance. From now on, you'll work with the performance fleet directly. Lena blinked, her breath catching for just a moment. She hadn't expected that. She started to say thank you, but the words tangled in her throat, so she just nodded, her eyes shining in the harsh parking lot lights. The CEO's friend stepped back, pretending to check messages, suddenly very interested in being anywhere but near him. He tried to stammer something about how generous he was to spot her talent. But Mr. Harrow didn't bother listening. He was already walking back toward the door. He paused only once to look back at Lena. Good instincts, he said. Keep using them. Lena clutched her toolbox, feeling its weight like an anchor and a promise at the same time. She glanced at the McLaren, still humming softly, as if proud of her, too. The CEO stood frozen, hands shoved into his pockets, his face pale under the perfect hair and designer suit. He watched her like she'd stolen something from him. His joke, his moment of power, the neat order where people like her stayed invisible. But she hadn't stolen anything. She'd just done what she knew how to do. Fix what was broken, and for once, everyone had seen it. She turned to leave, each step feeling different than the one she'd taken when she first walked into the lot, small and unnoticed. Now people watched her for a different reason. Some with respect, some with envy, but they watched her all the same. She didn't look back at the CEO. She didn't need to. The engine's roar still echoed in her chest. She stepped into the elevator, pressing the button for the basement where she'd left her old scooter, the same one she'd patched together 100 times. Maybe now she could afford to fix it properly. Maybe she'd get a real car next year. Maybe she'd send her brother to college instead of watching him skip shifts at the grocery store. When the elevator doors slid shut, she allowed herself one small smile. Just for her, not for the cameras, not for the suits, just for the girl who'd stood her ground, fixed the unfixable, and made a joke turn into something no one would forget.